Hi folks, I'm just going to do this way this time because I couldn't talk while I was out there with the snowblower. I have a Honda HSS 1332A, which is a track snow blower. You'll see me about the 4 minute mark when I appear. Uh, I'm just going to do a little chit chat about it so you can get an idea what I think about this snowblower. Particularly, it's not bad. It's got tracks and it's got a pretty fancy way of throwing snow because I have a little joystick on the panel that's up close to where I am. Let me get this other video up here. Okay. And it's pretty economical on fuel, I must admit. And your hands are busy, I tell you, until you know, I've done the driveway a couple of times, and then your hands get a little bit more used to being where they should be. One of the things that you're going to be using mostly is the shift lever. The shift lever is the long stick in the middle, and by pushing it forward, you go forward. By pulling it back, you go back. And it goes at different speeds. Normally, you have your throttle wide open after you get her going, and to get it going, you need to pull out the choke, turn the key over. Once it fires up, start pushing the choke back in a little bit. And then once you're confident it's going to stay going, slide the throttle wide open and push the choke lever in. Now you've got make sure that the throttle or the shift lever is in the middle so it's not going to go anywhere. Now I back mine into the garage, and unfortunately I have no one to hold on to the camera for me, especially for half an hour. And so what we get is what we get. Now, the shoot joystick controller swings the top or the whole thing, either left or right, and there's a shoot which is double articulating, so I can uh, blow the snow straight down onto the ground beside the machine, or I can lift it up, and she blows quite a ways. There's also a work light on there, and I don't remember if I ever went out in the dark, but whenever I've uh, noticed, like when I go to put the snowblower away, the light's always covered in snow. I seen a guy that lived in Newfoundland who remounted his light about a foot up, and it seemed to have solved that problem. But then it's more prone to getting banged, so uh, there you go. Now, today, and you'll see at the end of the auger, uh, probably a good hour after the video was over, I had to fish out the dog's tug. It's about a 3 foot, 4 foot long tug, which is about, oh, I would say 3 inches thick. And the auger gobbled it all up. Excuse me. All right. And I had to use a hacksaw and a probably about a 2 foot pry bar to be able to finally free that dog tug out of the auger. Now that's the second time I've had it, and I've only had the couple of problems with it since I've had it. One, I got a rope tied up onto it up at the mailbox. You'll see that I use that rope for securing the garbage can to keep it from wandering away. And the other time up by the mailbox, I picked up a couple of little pieces of gravel and it got between the auger and the outside where the snow goes in, okay? And it got pinched in there and it stopped the auger. It didn't quit the snow machine, but it just stopped the auger. So when I looked in there, I was quite lucky. I managed to walk back, picked up one of those offset spark plug wrenches, you know, the ones that got a spark plug wrench and it's got a little screwdriver on it, and a hammer, and managed to beat the rock out of there. Only to discover that I had a second one in there, but I managed to clear it and it was working pretty good since then. The snowblower was still running with that tug in there, but it didn't sound very healthy. So after I cleared it, I finished snow blowing the rest of it. You're only seeing part of what I've done. I have a. Oh, there's the plow. I can see him. It's dark out there now. It's 6:30, and I just finished freaking cleaning that driveway. Well, you know the story. Anyway, there's also a snow clearing bar up the top. It's kind of useless. It could have a bit more of a pointy end on it, but I imagine you don't want that so you don't damage the paint. Now, the only other thing that I have a little bit of an issue with is where you read the how much gasoline you got in there, and with all the snow flying around, it sits on top of it and it packs in, and you have to stop what you're doing, get your thumb out, and free the ice out of there so you can see where the little bar is. I don't really like taking the top off the gas can or the gas tank while I've got all snow all over it. And I usually like to park up by the front of the garage where I drive it out, and it gives me the chance to dry off the lid around the mouth of it, so I don't want to get any water in there. Overall, this thing works really good. Now, this particular model has an hour meter on it, electric start, which is brilliant. I haven't had to pull it once. The battery works like crazy. It's strong. I maybe in the middle of the summer I'll fire it up just to see what's going on and see if it'll start. Plus, we send it in for servicing uh, once a year just to get it checked out, make sure it's gonna last because it's quite expensive compared to some of the other ones. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze again. Maybe not. Anyway, nobody hear that. Give me a second here. Now I gotta freaking blow my nose. Never fails. Sorry about that. Now, it starts brilliantly, and I've never had any problems with it at all. Now, it holds it's over, I believe, a gallon of gas. I'll check that out later as we're going along here. It's a 390 cubic centimeter engine, so it's a pretty good size. But what I have noticed is you get into that heavy stuff or heavy snow, like sometimes you'll see I'll blow the snow in front of me, and because it can't reach to get off the driveway, I have to kind of snow blow it twice. And by the time I get into the second stuff, it's already compacted on top of the other snow. It'll bog it down. So to get around with that, all I ever do is just back the forward throttle off, and it allows it to keep the revs up, and I don't have that kind of a problem. Now, I really like the joystick thing. When we were looking a couple of years ago, we had our neighbor who was going to do our driveway, but of course, the neighbor can never do it the way you want it to do, and we also have at times propane come in to service our generator uh, by the oil company here, and he needs to be able to get in there to drag his hose around the side of the house. So I go in there and I clean that out, as well as going into the, the right side of the garage and all the way around the back and into the back of the house. We have to keep it clear in there because I don't want the dogs getting over the fence and stuff like that because they hanging around pretty well up by the where the woodshed is. Now, there's two steering control levers, one on the left, one on the right. That takes some getting used to because if you have it wide open and you want to swing left and you close in on the left lever, if you squeeze too hard, it's going to turn really quick. Like you got to be on the spot.
There's
So a
Dad.
lot of times I find
There's
myself
Daddy.
jamming my
Daddy
body in between
Snowblower.
the two
Oh,
handles just to help control it or to or it coax it
Jesus.
a little bit so that it'll turn for me. And the same goes with the right turn. You squeeze it, it'll turn quite quick. Now, one thing I do like is
Snowblower.
there's a lever that you
What
can
you doing?
use.
No, don't walk in. Somebody up there?
I
Who's
use it
up
mostly
there?
when I'm backing up.
Who's up there?
Uh, you
Who's
squeeze the lever.
who's up
The
there?
thing's quite well balanced,
Hello?
and what happens is the
Who's up there?
handlebars start to lower down, and it raises up the front end, which allows you to clear out the snow from behind you as you're going backing up. And then once you're backed up to where you're going, you squeeze that lever, or you stop yourself from going backwards. You squeeze that lever, and you lift up on the snowblower, and what happens is it swings itself back, and it gets that bar, the bottom bar, where it grabs the snow. Well, you gotta love this chair. I should have oiled it, but that's another day. And the only some of the other problems I actually had is we have to drive over the driveway when we first get snow to put a layer on there because the thing will eat gravel because it's a gravel driveway like no tomorrow and just starts flinging it off the road. So what we do is we drive over the driveway till we got about say half inch to an inch of compacted snow, and then the snowblower just glides over top of it. Now, what else we got going here? Oh, they have a bunch of precautions and stuff like that. We're already starting there. Never pulled it with a manual start. I hopefully never will. Something about pulling on a lever like on the chainsaw. I seem to have the ability to lose 15 pounds every time I go to start one of these machines up. But if it's got a key, it works good. Now, this thing here has got quite the mouth on it, as you can see while I'm driving around. Let's go back to my video here. Oh, it's still going. Okay. Occasionally, you'll hear my wife coming in. Now, I can see myself coming back down from the mailbox. Most of the problems I have with it are up at the mailbox. And where I parked the car, which you can't see uh, to the left of the screen here. Because they take all the snow off the car, it just seems to pack down there, and you get a nice little box. It's like a fort around where you park the vehicle, and that gets up to about a foot. and then it goes down to the regular part of the driveway, which might be 3, 4 inches thick. And so as you're going forward, you got to drive up this hump, and then you got to come down onto the other side, and that takes a little bit of finagling. Now,
Let's go see. There's
another
Dad.
thing is that I have to put
Hey,
on a
Daddy.
hood over my face,
Here, Daddy.
and after
Here,
it's okay
Dad.
when I start, but I can't breathe, so I have to pull the, the face
Here,
piece
Dad.
down over my chin, which isn't too bad, just to keep
Here's
so I
Dad.
can
Yeah,
breathe
he's snow
before you
blowing.
start getting
He's snow
gasping for
blowing.
air
Look.
because
Yeah.
you are wrestling that thing for a couple of hours. And being that I'm just about 67 here, it's quite a physical workout. It's a good thing I'm not a little fella because that would take some getting used to. Anyway, the way I do the driveway is as you're kind of following it. Where I'm at right now, there's a big area. I could probably park about 10 cars down in there. And this is right where I'm at now, is where the propane truck will back in and he'll drag his hoses off to the right. Unfortunately, I was out there doing this and the video only lasts for about 33 minutes. And we're at the 16-minute mark now. So I'll just kind of go along with explain what I know. Go back to the video. When the snow, like this is Monday, and we had to do this Saturday, but my neighbor came down with, he's got a tractor with a big snowblower on his, and oh, that's a pleasure to see that. He comes down, and I don't know how many, he must have about a 6 foot, 8 foot mouth on that snow machine or the snowblower he's got. So he'll come down and he'll take 2, 3 passes where I'm at, and basically I just have to go up the driveway up one side and then come back down the other side. Now the deeper the snow, I put on a piece of bar, but I kept on getting caught up on the fence in the back and bent it, but it's called the drift cutter. So if you have snow that's higher than the front of the machine, you can go along and you can cut off the side of it on the deep bank, and it makes it so that you can actually come back and plow it again. Now, you got to be careful with it, and I don't know, lots of women could probably do it, but it's a pretty heavy duty machine for doing stuff like that. I've also had to replace the shear bolt on it once. It broke, and that was due to a big rock, and it got caught up in there. But overall, it's been quite easy to fix and keep her running. Now, the maximum fuel level I just noticed here, it's a good thing I'm going over this manual here at the same time while I'm chatting you up. I'm supposed to be at 1.4 inches below the top, and I usually fill the damn thing right up to the top. And sometimes it's pouring out when I park it. You get to smell gas in the garage for a day or two till it goes. And I only burn premium uh, fuel in there, and it seems to run quite well. And as far as I know, there's no ethanol in it. The motor oil that it uses is 5W30, which is a good winter type oil. It pretty easy, and I never have to do anything about changing the oil or anything like that. The guy does it when we send it in. I hope. We all hope. We all hope they do that. And it looks like it'd be a piece of cake to do the spark plug, but I didn't bother buying another one. It tells you how you have to torque it down after the spark plug's seated down to 13 foot-pounds. And the other thing you can adjust is the track if you want, but I can't I can't be bothered because I'm not putting on too much, too many miles on it. That's for sure. But going up and down the driveway, boy, I tell you, that's a slide along, man. It's just like walking an old dog. Now, what else can I tell you? Over the summer, I usually turn the main fuel off, and I've never drained it, or I don't usually put any of that fancy stuff in there. Now, this thing here weighs 320 pounds or 145 kilograms. That's pretty heavy. And also, you can, if you want to look at this, you can download the manual.
Gotta keep
The
the door
manual
shut.
is a
And mommy cleaning ears.
Honda 20 HSS 1332A, and there's a 28 inch, but I recommend just spend the money, get the 32 inch, be a lot happier. Now these guys come here, they just drive it, it just walks up the back of the ramp into the back of the guy's pickup and off he goes.
Yeah, ice.
I'm tempted from watching another fella, this Josh, he drives his snowblower up onto his deck and blows it clear. But I'm a little leery about doing that. But I might think about it. Maybe next winter we'll give it a whirl. Because as it is, we've got one, two, three, four decks here. Well, five decks, but four of them they got to get shoveled off every time it snows. Now, would I recommend getting one of these? Definitely. So here you see me coming back down the road here. I'm getting close to the final time here to go up there. And you'll see a big triangle at the bottom here. And I've got to try to straighten that up with the curve because what I want to do is I want to get that cleared out of there, drive the Jeep away from the garage door on the left. Maybe I'll stick a picture in here so that you can maybe follow it if you want. And I'll drive out and back up on beside the garage after it's all cleared out. That way I don't have to worry about uh, catching a bunch of rocks and throwing them off the side of the Jeep. The other important thing is that you always got to make sure you know where you're pointing that thing. And if you ever get into a panic, just lift your hands up. Sometimes when you're backing up, you might be backing up into a post or something like that, or into the fence, and you don't want it to go. You got to let go, and it'll stop throwing snow, everything right away.
Good boy.
But I must admit that the little joystick on the better is better when they have crank handles, I think. Now, I'm already pretty tired, and I'm about a half an hour into snowblowing here. Took me a couple of minutes to get outside, but just the same. And I snowblowed for 2 more hours after this. Plus, I had to shovel off four of the decks there, three of the decks to be accurate. And the only other thing I noticed, like too, is like where we have the markers, or where I put the markers, they're a little further out into the lawn than on where the driveway is, and it dips down there. And my neighbor, when he drives his tractor in here, if it gets too close to where the poles are, his snow, his tractor kind of slides into the off the road and into the side of the snowbank there. So I don't mind if he just comes down the center and goes up and down a bit, and then he's gone. That way I can just go up and down it. Makes it quite a bit easier. Now, I don't like to put the snow up onto the left side of here because there's that bank, but I have a bit of a ditch where the you can see that one pole standing out there by itself, and that ditch kind of follows around the side of the garage, away from the garage, and it goes out and dumps over the hill. So if I can, I like to blow most of the snow off on the right hand side, which is already downstream. Looking forward to when the sun comes because the sun gets this area here pretty good. And what I do is I take the ashes from the fireplace, and if I know a good hot day's coming, or around zero or whatever, I'll empty it out and go and sprinkle it. You can see a little bit of darkness on the driveway where I've cleared it already, and I did that on Saturday after we cleaned it all out, or Sunday, I guess I did it yesterday, just to get rid of some of that. It's kind of neat seeing all the blue jays coming down there to pick up the old coals and take them to whatever. Probably they're eating them. It's probably got something to do with their digestion. I'm not a big fan of winter, I'll tell you. I like going out on my John Deere D155 lawnmower, ride-on mower. That's a way more fun, and I get to zip all over the place. I mow probably a good 5 acres every time I go, so that takes about 4 or 5 hours to do it. I don't mind doing that at all. But anyway, we're coming down towards the end of the video here, and I'm not sure if you'll hear my wife talking to the dogs and carrying on over top of this yipping and yapping I'm doing. But if you like the video, please click like, comment, because I'll look at all the comments, and subscribe. I've got 130 subscribers, and I guess the magic number is 1,000, so I'm a long way off. But slowly picking up, and I'm starting to learn a few more skills as far as recording and stuff like that goes, and we're saving up for a proper camera because I have a tripod for my another camera, but that only tapes 5 minutes worth of video. So the I should be coming by here in a second here. I've almost got the whole driveway done, the main part of it. I just have to go around and do the back. At the end of the video, you'll see the what's left of the tug after I got it out of there. And I've had quite a few dog toys in there lately, it seems. Somebody in the house lets the dog out the door with the toys. I'm not saying who, but I only live with one person here. And here we go again. You get tired because this thing here wants to go right, wants to go left, wants to buck around a little bit. You see what I mean? Like I'm pushing on it with the body, adjusting the where it throws it out. And I'm impressed. I was going to get one of those Club Scouts because it has a triple throw or some darn thing in it. Well, this thing here throws it more than adequate. I've had the first winter I got it, I had a snowdrift above the size, above the lilac bush, which is probably about 4 feet at least over the top of a truck of a pickup truck, the cab. So it throws it pretty good. I tend to have it pointing down a little bit more because if I get it up too high and the wind catches it, next thing I know is I'm fighting ice in my eyes, which makes it a little bit nasty. But anyway, hang on. Just another couple of minutes to go here, and I guess I'm going to have to go out and get some oil for the chair. As you can hear, it's kind of annoying. And just to let you know, this is the first time I cut or I did the driveway this way. Usually I go up the left hand side, blow it all to the right. But for some reason, I decided to do it this way because I thought I'd be in front of the camera maybe a little bit more than the other way, but it doesn't really matter. Right now we have snow up to the bottom of the windows, and that's without throwing any snow on it. Well, you can see me hitting some of that charcoal there. I managed to get a couple of buckets cleaned out of the old fireplace there. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I've got my first subscriber that I know of from the UK, and he's already left me a message. And just please comment. I'm always willing to learn something, and I'm always willing to share something. You guys all have a great day.